All right, here comes day 2. Yesterday you worked in the metric system. Today we've got to tackle the good old American way. Doesn't make sense, I promise. I just can't even comment. It makes me crazy. All right. After doing the metric system, our system is so much more complicated. All right. Your learning target, and this is on the back side of your note sheet. The learning target to be today you're going to be converting within the customary system. All right. Now, the customary system is what we use here in the US and 2 other countries, only 2 other countries, Liberia and Myanmar. That's it. And it's ridiculous that we are stuck using this system, especially since back in 1988, the United States government passed a law that said we're going to make the metric system the preferred system of weights and measures in the US for trade and for commerce, for business. Okay. But we still hang on to this old system. If we would just force ourselves, we could learn it and everybody be on the same page. But instead, you have to learn how to convert both of them. So here we go. We have to start with length. So I want you to look. This looks like a smaller ladder. Yes. But here's the catch. All right. So here's our length basic standard units of measure in the customary system. We have the mile. Then comes the yard. Can you hear my clock? Awesome. Mile, yard. Then comes a foot or feet. I'm going to put foot and keep it singular. And then inch. Okay. Anything smaller than an inch, we measure with fractions of an inch, like half inch, quarter inch, eighth inch, 16th, that sort of thing. All right, so here we are. Now, just like in the metric system, if we go up or to the right, we multiply. And if we convert this way from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, the number has to be divided. Okay. However, it's not by 10. We have to remember all these different numbers. So this is where these conversion factors come in. For feet and inches, it's 12. 12 inches in a foot. An inch is a 12th of a foot. Okay. Feet and yards, the magic number is 3. Okay. There are 3 feet in 1 yard. A foot is 1/3 of a yard. This one you may not be familiar with at all, so I'll just give it to you. 1,760. That's how many yards are in a mile. The number that you're probably more familiar with, and by the way, grab your calculator. Go ahead and multiply 3 times 1,760. And when you multiply those two together, you get this number, which some of you might be more familiar with, which is 5,280. Now, isn't that a crazy number to memorize? Oh, okay. Back in the day, we just memorized it because we had to. Okay, so it becomes automatic. But it's a crazy number. It's not an easy like times 10 times 10 times 10. No. Okay, 5,280. So if you have miles and you want to turn that into feet, you'd multiply by 5,280. If I have a bunch of feet and I want to figure out how many miles that is, I would divide by 5,280. Or if you want to use this idea of the stairs, you could divide by 3 first to get to yards and then divide by 1,760 to turn it into the miles. Okay. All right, so that's our length. So we have to remember these numbers, 12, 3, 1760, and 5280. All right. Okay, so let's do an example just so that we're kind of clear here. All right, so what if I said, I have 3 miles and I want you to convert that into how many inches is that? Let's just make it really gross. Okay. So then what you do is you say, well, I'm going to grab my handy dandy calculator and I'm going to start with the number 3. Okay. Because that's how many miles I've got. And then my first hurdle is jump to yards. So I'm going to use 1,760. In other words, multiply by that number. Okay, so I'm going up the ladder. So multiply by 1,760. If you did equals right now, okay, you'd see that you'd have 5,280 yards. Then go times 3 again. That'll give you the feet. Now we are at 15,000 some. And then one last step, multiply by 12. Okay, so we have to go times, times, times. And you get 190,080 inches. Okay, gotta have this. I mean, we could do it all by hand. It'd take a while. Okay, but you could do it. Just not as easy as going floop, floop, floop with the decimal point, is it? Okay. All right, let's jump to the next one. This is the hardest one for me to remember. And if you're taking family and consumer science, you might remember some of this, okay? Or next time you go to lunch and you get your milk carton, look at your milk carton. Most of the time, your milk carton probably says like half a pint or something like that, okay? All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Gallon. And I think you have a pretty good frame of reference of that if you think of a gallon of milk, if you buy it that way at your house. Okay, whoops. I better erase that. Looks kind of messy, doesn't it? Eraser. Here we go. I'll redo all that since I was making a mess. All right, gallon. Then comes the quart. Then comes the pint. Then comes the cup. And then up here, I put FL because it's fluid ounces. Fluid ounces are different than weight ounces. So I sometimes call that flounces just to be funny or to distinguish between the two. All right. Okay, you ready to build this one? Excuse me, gallons to quarts. The magic conversion number is 4. And by the way, if you want to write your going up or to the right is times, down to the left is divide. All right, now I almost have to sing a song here in my head to remember this. All right, the magic number here is 2. 2 pints and a quart. Next one is 2. 2 cups and a pint. And this one is 8. 4, 2, 2, 8. All right, now I have a dumb little song. It kind of goes to happy birthday. It doesn't really make sense. I've just memorized it, you know. 1 gallon is 4 quarts. 1 quart is 2 pints. 1 pint is 2 cups. And 1 cup is 8 flounces. See, that's why I like to use the flounces, because it's too hard to say 1 cup is 8 fluid ounces. That's like too many syllables. 1 gallon is 4 quarts. 1 quart is 2 pints. 1 pint is 2 cups. 1 cup is 8 flounces. Now, if you multiplied all this way, because if I asked you something like 1 gallon equals exactly how many fluid ounces, what you'd have to do is start with your number 1, and then you go times 4. That's 4. Then times 2. That'd be 8. So there's 8 pints in a gallon. Times 2 again is 16. There's 16 cups in a gallon. And finally, 16 times 8 is 128. That's how many fluid ounces are in a gallon. Okay? Get used to this chart now. 4228. Finally. Oh, I guess there's a couple more. Weight. We don't have as many units in weight for the customary system that we commonly use. So the big kahuna here is ton. Oh, I ate a ton of food. Then comes pounds. And here comes ounces. Tons, pounds, ounces. And these are huge conversions here. So this one, there are 2,000 pounds in 1 ton. Okay, and again, when you're going up, you multiply. Coming down, you divide. Okay. And there are 16 ounces in a pound. Okay. Which gives you not a whole lot to work with here, but basically, if you had something like 5 tons and you wanted to know how many pounds is that, now you know we use, I think it's Latin, lbs for pounds. That makes no sense either. Good Lord, how much are we supposed to remember? Use the metric system. It would all be easier. All right, 5 tons. So if I'm starting at tons, I'm traveling to pounds. I know I have to multiply, and I multiply by 2,000. and you should get 10,000 pounds. Ha! Ta-da, da-da, da-da. There you go. There you go. All right, so we've got length. We've got capacity or liquids, okay? And we have weight. The last one, which really is not the customary system and it's not involved with the metric system either, is time, okay? Days into hours is consistent. There's 24 hours in a day. Then we break hours down. We have minutes. And there happen to be 60 hours in 1 minute. And then we have seconds. And there are 60 seconds in a minute. So this one operates like this. Now you'll notice I'm not including things like weeks and months and years because that is not consistent. It's kind of weird. You know that months, all the months have different quantities of days. You know, February usually has 28. 30 days is September, April, June, and November. I remember that little rhyme. All the rest have 31. But February has 28, except in leap years, because we have to add an extra day to account for the fact that really a year is 365 days, but there's always a little bit more. And so every 4 years, we got to add a day to kind of even that out. So even this isn't really exact, but it's pretty close. Same thing with 1 year is about 52 weeks. It's actually like 52 weeks and a day, so it doesn't quite work out. But these ones are pretty standard right here for time. Okay, your job is to grab this worksheet. This is your assignment. Okay, and you're going to do all this conversion. So PT is pints, C is cups, gallons, quarts, yards, feet, inches, feet, so on and so forth. Okay, LB is pounds, T for tons. You just kind of familiarize yourself with all of this. And as always, keep your chart handy, keep your calculator handy, and may the force be with you.